Yeah, I do have to agree with you. But take a look at this. First ban right off the bat for Papra. It's going to be the Freya as well as Matilda. So this is really interesting. This is what I see in like really higher ranked games, in like my own typical ranked games, right? We ban out the Freya. But on the other hand, YBG going meta, taking out the Kalia as well as the Fanny. Freya ban, maybe it's an ode of respect over to how Lucas wants to play it from YBG. Maybe he has something cooking up his sleeves and they've done their homework already. So I think this might be sort of like a respect ban over that.
This Freya is 100% a respect ban, right? Because I don't think any team right now who are playing at a top level would ban a Freya unless they figured it's too big of a threat. I mean, in this case, you know, as much as people joke about Freya, if you played enough, you know, public games, you know that Freya is like that you would hate to play against a Freya. I mean, we get the normal bans afterwards, like Phobius. That means that plenty of choices are up on the table. The fact that Supermassive is banning out the Freya means that they are opening up trade opportunities more towards YBG, right? Suyo gets banned out, now Joy is open, Jusin is open as well for Papra Supermassive if they want it.
Yeah, if you want the Granger as well, it's right on the table for Papra to pick that up. And I think it might suit their playstyle a little bit better because analyzing the first game against Influence Rage, Papra Supermassive is really, you know, sort of like hunkering down on the gold lane. And Granger really gives Xiao that distance that you're able to cover and just hold your ground until the rest of the team really steps up into the mid through late game. So I think the Granger first pick is a solid one for Supermassive. But on the other hand though, like you said, Jusin being open, Loi is open, and a lot of teams are banning that out. A lot of huge respect for the global ultimates into Mobile Legends now.
Time to drop.
Not only that, the Harif is also online, right? Like the Harif is also available. But with the Joy being picked up, maybe we won't see the Harif, as you would have way too much magic damage. The Jawhead though is a pretty good option to catch targets. In fact, in the previous series between Rora Turkey and Team Falcons Mena, Apex 47 went Jawhead both games, and his Jawhead was a pivotal reason why they won that series. But down for Papra Supermassive, and a very viable flex.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you. I was watching the game just now on Mina versus Turkey, and I think Jawhead Hilda is kind of like this combo that it's really hit or miss. You do have a lot of sacrifice. You do have to have a lot of sacrificial combos. You have to charge in. You have to really set up the alley-oop for the rest of the team. Make sure that your team is able to clear that out. But I think that YBG might be picking this Jawhead up just as a sort of like a counter pick to prevent Supermassive from getting a little bit too close to their Joy. So going into the second phase of the ban, you got the Hanzo, Hayabusa, and the Lucas being banned out. An ode of respect to a lot of the jungle for Supermassive.
Ultimate answer is picking.
I see the Hilda banned out too. I do like the Lucas ban because we have seen examples of teams being able to utilize the Lucas to dive the back line. As much as we say that, okay, Jusin is pretty annoying, and she still is, despite a bit of that tweak to her numbers. Lucas, the Jusin, Granger, they all have one weakness, which is they're very prone to being dove, right? Like Lucas really enables that, and we've seen that even in MPL Philippines, where I think it was Onyx PH against TLPH. Sanford's Lucas was the bane of Kelra's Granger that time. So
yeah,
right now YBG, you are looking, so they actually did pick up the Harry either way. So that mid lane, you can't pick the mid lane up now. I think they do play the Farsa too. So much magic damage though.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much, right? I mean, you could go for the Farsa. You could, yeah, that's the Eve.
I was made for.
Zone control, a lot of zone control, because you don't really have the Farsa to deal with anymore. But then you miss out a lot on these early game rotations, and I think YBG wants to play a little bit slow into that late game. They want to test the water out a little bit. It's safer on a Yi for sure.
Yeah. So now it's jungle time, right? Suyo, no Hanzo, no Hayabusa. Alpha seems to be the next in line. Benedetta jungle.
Benedetta in jungle. Very risky play. Slow to clear, especially on some of the buffs that you see right before the 2nd minute mark leading up to the turtle. I haven't seen that in a hot minute. So come to think of it, I mean, they could still flex Fighter in the gold lane, but I don't think so. Yeah, I do have to agree with you. It's going to be Benedetta in the jungle. But now, for YBG, what's left is the EXP lane. And I think, for now, it could be the Gato or the CC. I think this is one of the two heroes that could really deny the Benedetta from dashing. It will be the CC, though.
Yeah. There is another variation, which I'm not sure if it's going to be the case, where you have a Granger jungle and you put Benedetta Go and Badang XP. It feels like a lot more riskier than the first option. So we will see in a bit if that is the case for game 1. But again, we talk about flavors, and we talked about how Pop Rush Supermassive has a lot more flavors, at least in the hero pool, and we are seeing it again, right, with that Benedetta picked up.
Yeah. Bring us a little bit of that Turkish delight, but as the clock rolls down, as we head on to the land of dawn, is there any teams that you're favoring right now, any drafts that you're favoring right now, Husky?
I definitely like YBG's draft a lot more, although my problem is that it's too much magic damage, but it's a draft. But when you reach late game, that magic damage matters less because you have true damage with the Harith.
Yeah. Going in to the first series of game number 3, it's going to be the Turkish Delight up against the Spice, YBG, the healing from China. Let's see how this thing's played out. So Benedetta starting off in the jungle in the purple side. Look at how much slower a Benedetta farms compared to the Joy. And this is why I don't really like these kinds of, like, previously you can bring in these kinds of fighters, but now it's slower and you want to build up that momentum. That slowness will really hold you back.
Yeah, that, and also, right, the YBG, they have the help of this Jawhead to speed up the clear of Lucas, so he's going to be so far ahead, and I am expecting an invade early on. After Litho, he'll probably go to the Skilled Lizard to hit that level 4, and that itself is going to put Lucas ahead.
Yeah, come think of it though, jumping in, Lucas taking a chunk of damage out of Bloodspet, but so far, so good. I think Pop Rush Supermassive, they understand what went wrong in their first game of today, and they don't want to make these kinds of shaky mistakes. Take a look at itemizations. I do like that, Joy is still with the Quantum Charge coming in, does have the level 4, but don't want to commit as of yet. But closing things off, I think still pretty standard emblems all across the board. 3 Impure Rages, 4 for the side of Supermassive.
Yeah, I mean, with the recent buffs of the Temporal Rain, it makes heroes like Joyce even better, right? Like every takedown is an extension of that duration. With the gem with the Bloodspet, that should be first blood very easily secured thanks to Ares' setup.
Yeah, I love that we now have a basketballer in Mobile Legends, which is the Jawhead, always throwing it to the alley-oop, and Lucas gets the first kill that's gonna be snowballing him to infinity and beyond if we go later into the state into this game. But coming in, Turtle spawned up, 2-minute mark. It does look like YBG has the upper hand as of now. 1k gold lead, not too far behind. But then this slowness in the jungle for Benedetta is really biting them in the butt.
To get the purple buff in time, instantly Crimson Beacon gets used. Lucas looks to the back, just dives on after dark and takes him out. Retribution gets used, but too early by Lucas. So Turtle goes over the Pop Rush Supermassive at the cost of 2 of their members.
Well, that's I wouldn't say a good trade from Pop Rush Supermassive, but I do see what they're going for, and I do see Wasa's Badang being a huge nuisance for YBG when it comes down to these mid to late game team fights. Ares now blocking the charge, trying to take a chunk out of the gold-plated turrets in the bottom side, but they won't want to commit any longer as they see Bloodspet coming in to charge.
That, and also Ares actually pretty slow on that level 4, just got it. Spending a lot of time getting that presence on the map to make sure that Unicorn and Lucas have a good time. Either way, YBG, they don't really have too big of a lead despite that 3 early kills, only just about to touch that 1k mark. This gold lane pretty much stable, but more in favor of Xiao, who has a slight XP lead.
Yeah, I think this is Pop Rush Supermassive MO, right? Just take this game slow, make sure Xiao gets the farm that he needs, get his itemizations going on. 5-minute mark, let's get him rotating into different lanes, and we start taking down objectives.
It's going to be a slow burn, just like you mentioned. Not to also forget that having a high-loss roll means that you're generally slower if you want to compare to the rotation speed off a jaw hit, which is going to be into place. Xiao wanting to get away, uses everything, but still gets run down by Lucas.
Yeah, very, very good find for Ares. Finding the marksman, just delaying his farm, and making that Harris push down that bottom side super effectively. And I do like to see this Filipino import mid lane trio actually rotating together, being such a nuisance. Ares tries to roll on the charge.
I don't think he can catch it. Lucas even stole the orange buff away. Unicorn will be forced to flicker. He don't want to be lifted back by the lantern, but still, look at YBG, right? It feels like they have Papa Supermassive corner a little bit, and forcing this 4-man in the middle, flicker into a fist crack. Trying to start it onto Unicorn. Unicorn will go down. Lucas can't really get a kill. And that's the engage that Papa Supermassive have been looking for, finding a good trade mid-side.
There was a good find by Wasa, taking down Unicorn, knowing that he doesn't have his flicker at the ready. And right now, starting up that turtle, YBG, 1,500 gold lead, Floor's pathway to block the charge. Ares running low.
And Lucas actually skips past the front line of Papa Supermassive, but Wasa is not easy to kill. Doesn't matter though, as Vilexi was able to deliver a kill for himself. YBG, they do get 2 kills. Eventually we'll get the turtle, but they did it at the cost of that bot tier 1.
Oh man, that's a good find. 2 down for Papa Supermassive. YBG staying up on top, and this turtle will accelerate their progress as well. I think the early game pickoff is looking very good for YBG. I think right now I understand the Benedetta was actually picked up because in the first game, Supermassive was struggling with the split push, and I think they're gunning on this Benedetta just because they're too scared of that split push. But YBG, they're always baiting Papa Supermassive to come in to all these team fights, and they do so well because the zonal control by that Yves and by that Harith is just too much to handle.
And Ares reads that, knows that Bloodspet is there, kills him off again, and look at that, Vilexi in the midst of everything, face a potential fame from Papa Supermassive. That backline exposed, Lucas almost kills off Xiao. Once more, Ares' setup has been immaculate this game.
Wow, that's a very, very good split though. Unicorn slow is just so annoying. I wouldn't want to be facing up against this Yves right now. You don't really have a lot of damage on the Yves as of this moment, but it's the utility that it brings to the table that splits up so much of that team fight, allowing Lucas to find the flanks, to find the angles, to get past through that back line. And very good read by Ares, knowing where the enemies are at every one point of time. Bloodspet not doing so well, 1-4-0. Let's take it to itemizations as of this moment. It does look like still a little bit more time for the Harith to get his full build, but it's still 7 minutes mark. What do you think of this?
I think right now they can just keep on amping up the pressure. Flora's pathway, Papa Supermassive wants to secure the buff. I think they still lost
They
it,
stole
right?
it. Yeah, they lost
Purple
it.
was still on Lucas, so really nothing much they could do. I mean, Papa Supermassive forced to play together, and even then, they're losing health bars thanks to Unicorn and it's Void Crystal.
Ooh.
Here comes Ares and just blows up Moji, who was already at a sliver of health thanks to Unicorn.
4,000 gold lead, YBG ramping up so much of that tempo. They're on gear 6 right now. And every step we take, here comes Lucas on the flank as well.
Almost runs down after dark, forcing out the Crimson Beacon. Would it say that YBG is a team, or at least the teams from that region generally, they focus on these minor details, right? It's about solidifying an early game so that your life isn't hard when the game goes late. And considering the fact that they made some pretty good moves against Onyx Philippines, and that being a Storm regardless, means that YBG didn't really get to show what they're made of. But this one is a good litmus test, and we're seeing YBG just proving that they are actually super prepared because they had to beat DFYG to get to this point, and DFYG themselves are not pushovers.
Yeah, take a look at this. Tier 2 already being hunkered down, but Papa Supermassive making quick work of the minions. They'll touch and they go, but look at where Lucas is. They know that Papa Supermassive are playing as 5, so with this composition, all Lucas has to do is just split push, take down the side lane objectives. But hold on a second.
They know that Lucas is with that, so they want to take a fight when there's a man advantage, and they're doing a pretty decent job, but not enough to take out Bilexi, who is just shredding their health bars. So Ares goes down, it's just a Jawhead. A Roman in exchange for a top tier 2 and another purple buff steal. Worth it for YBG.
Super worth it, I would say. Like, Papa Supermassive doesn't have the defense, but here comes Lucas with the Rhythm of Joy. Won't be able to take down anything, but Moji forced to use the Electro Final Blow to get out of the way. So there's a huge ultimate already used up before the Lord coming into play. Will have that ultimate up and ready, but YBG just forcing Papa Supermassive to waste crucial resources before major objectives.
This is looking pretty grim for Papa Supermassive. They've completely lost control. They can't really play the side lanes. They're forced to stick together because YBG is all over them. This orange buff once more stolen by Lucas. And there's just nothing left. I mean, if you're Moji, you're getting starved out of your own jungle. 3 levels behind Lucas with the Lord under 20 seconds before spawning.
Yeah, it does look like YBG, this is their game to lose, and they're just not giving Papa Supermassive any room to breathe. Here comes the spicy, but the numbingness that Supermassive is feeling right now is just too much to handle. There's not much that Moji can do as of this point. The build that is going for is sort of like a semi-tank, but coming into like major Lord takes, major objective takes, Moji can't just go into these objectives and dance like he used to, like he would have used to if he was a little bit more tankier.
Yeah, a good spot on the conceal, and this purple buff finally secured. We would love it on Moji, but After Dark will have to do. I would say all things considered, right? YBG with this first lore of the game is going to be able to set things up, and that mid wave will need a bit of refresher. The Lord will spawn right now, so double waves on the side lanes with the Lord coming in on top side. Meanwhile, YBG are just constantly making sure that Papa Supermassive don't get anything on the map.
Yeah, and I really underestimated the rotational speed that YBG really brings to the table. Lord down, immediately goes down to the purple buff, tries to disrupt Papa Supermassive. But now here comes the true test of discipline. Minions are already pushing in. Papa Supermassive with the defense. Bloodsmith still has the glorious pathway, able to get that time to breathe for them as of now. So this might be a very successful defense for Supermassive, but YBG, they touch and they go. They know it's still the first Lord. They don't want to risk anything else. Don't want them to overcome this. This is a 10k gold lead we're talking about.
That's going to be tough. It's a big wave coming in on the top side. Escorted by Ares. He's going to toss them in just to break the Holy Shield, so the catapult actually isn't affected. They use the RWM. Lord finally goes down. Conceal used by Ares, looking for a potential target. As Bilexi pulls out after Dark. Bilexi does go down, but still YBG ends up getting the inhibitor top side. And now Lucas has free reign in with Electrifying Beast, looking for Cell, trying to take him down. And he trades his life for it. 2 for 2, but YBG, they ended up getting an inhibitor, but it's a 4k gold swing for Papa Supermassive.
A very huge, worthy sacrifice. Lucas taking out Xiao. YBG does have a little bit of time to get that reset on next Lord in a minute. And Papa Supermassive trying to pick up all the scraps that YBG left behind. But just because of that 2 kills that shut down gold, dropped the economy lead for YBG from 9,000 all the way down to 5. That's half of their gold lead already diminished and put over Supermassive. Take a look at itemizations. Again, Moji going for a full damage build. When it comes down to it, it will be a little bit difficult for Moji to make its mark known, especially in objective dances.
Having that 3 items, right? War Axe, Malefic, Roar, and the Hunter Strike. Going for Sea Halberd next, I believe. Of course, YBG, we saw again the power of Bilexi. He, right? 3 tapping after Dark, who is miserable right now as a two-sit. Clock of Destiny and a Glowing Wand. You really can't really survive too long. Not to mention that Unicorn went for just a greedy full damage build because he felt so ahead. He had Glowing Wand, Wishing Lantern, Divine Glaive third item, YBG on the Lord.
Yeah, when it comes down to team fights though, the 6k gold lead is going to make a mark on Supermassive. Ares trying to find someone, he finds Bloodspet, Eliutes.
It's gonna lose his immortality to the Sky Piercer. Lucas gets the Lord now. The RWN, they all trapped in a box. YBG with just patient and surgical movements allowing for a follow-up double kill for Fish God, and that's 3 for YBG.
That was just so funny. I'm laughing because Wasa actually got that fist crack, but hold on. One more hit will not be enough. After Dark survives with the sliver of health. The Crimson Beacon keeps herself safe. Linen's pushing in already. Husky, this might be it.
Yeah, he dodges on the damage. 5 more seconds for Prospect to come back. It's their time though. There's still a lot to contend with YBG. They're not gonna wait. It's all about the crystal. Just a pat of KD. Game 1 for YBG.
Man, what a game, what a play. Not giving room for Papa Supermassive to breathe and not giving space for us to take a breather. We're always talking, we're always saying something. And this was a really true testament to how far China has come